We all used to have a relative that lived on a farm, and that has changed with time. So
we have to educate, and we have to go to the consumer and our customers and explain what we do, why we do it, and how we do it, and that we are the stewards of the ground. We're being asked to feed a lot more people on a lot less acres. And so in order for us to do that, we've got to be very, very efficient at what we do.
I have seen us go through rust infestations and smut infestations and a lot of different things that would have almost basically wiped out our ability to grow wheat. So we rely heavily on plant breeding to provide resistance or tolerance to many of the problems that would make it almost impossible to grow wheat in our area. And yet plant breeding has provided the genetic material that it gives us the wherewithal to continue on and produce profitable yields.
The public research end of it is becoming more and more relevant. In the past, farming was kind of very mundane, and you could do the same thing year after year and pretty much get the same results if Mother Nature was consistent. But nowadays, with the new varieties, the new strains of rust, the new issues that we have to deal with, the public-funded breeding process has just become pivotal to my operation.
Public-funded research is very important to agriculture in this part of the country. We're fairly unique in the conditions that in our area. The publicly funded research addresses those areas in ways that commercial firms can't do.
Local plant breeding from the universities help our operation immensely. They tailor fit varieties of wheat and soybeans to suit our weather conditions in our local area. They also breed in traits that provide disease resistance that is important for our operation and lessens our dependence on pesticides and other chemicals.
They take a longer-term view of what's important, and instead of the short-term payoff, and then the long-term that adds to the viability of agriculture in this area.
Research by an institution such as the one we have here at Akron is extremely important because it's independent. They look at many things that cannot be of interest to commercial concerns.
The breeding process of wheat is a very lengthy one, and if you lose out on a year or two, you go back 4 or 5 years. You just can't pick it up right away where you left off.
Some of the concerns that I have about plant breeding is that a lot of the big ag companies are taking over a lot of that breeding activity. Corn, for example, almost all of the varieties we plant come from private companies, and they don't necessarily respond to the concerns that we have in this area.
The research that's funded by the university with funds from the federal government and from the state government and grower checkoff dollars is extremely valuable. We live in an area that is very diverse. The Eastern Washington has many different production zones, and so without the resources that are available, it would be hard to find varieties and practices that will really work in our area. So those funds are extremely important to us and have allowed us to maximize our production and deal with some of the issues that seem to continually come on and on and on.
I think the land-grant universities come to the farmer a lot, and you can tell that the questions that they ask us are real questions. Without our input, they would have no idea which way to steer their wheat breeding programs and their plant breeding programs in general.
We actually have a group called the Wheat Advisory Committee that sits down with the university and the growers, and we have frank discussions about what needs to be included. We've revamped some of the processes that allow for variety release.
Because of the wheat variety trials, particularly the collaborative on-farm test plots, commonly called COFT, we've been able to advance the adoption of those varieties on our farm by several years.
All the scientists and researchers come out, they meet the farmers and engage in just a very casual conversation of what impacts our farm. And then they can bring that knowledge back and run it through the laboratories and through the trials, and it's a direct result of their programs.
I've been very pleased with the efforts on the wheat boards.
I think it's a really effective two-way street. The universities and the wheat growing community use to incorporate some of the ideas into the breeding program.
The benefits of the varieties are, again, they're monumental in my operation. We've gone from almost doubling our proven yield year after year across the board due to the new varieties that are better suited for our areas. They handle drought better, they handle cold temperatures better during the wintertime. The varieties that we plant now really are the difference between going out of business and staying in business, because they have increased our bottom line and helped us remain competitive. And this is just the tip. I think you're going to see more reliance on these varieties in my operation simply because there's more to combat out there.
Plant breeding is just essential to providing that bridge between profitability and not profitability, and yet protecting the environment and making it all work in a sustainable manner.
Agriculture is food, and wheat is food, and that's something that we really have to remember, that it's a very large business. It creates a lot of jobs, especially in the Pacific Northwest, and it's helping with the economy. But the root of it is agriculture is food for people. And if we lose sight of that, then I think the world's going to be in a hurry.